Watch how the vibrations change when I lower the blade on this saw. So the reason the vibrations change so much when I lower the blade is when the blade is up, the motor is hanging off of the belt and it has a tendency to shake because of the V-belt. Whereas if I have the blade most of the way down, I actually have it set up so that the belt goes a little bit slack and this mount here starts hitting on here, and that way the motor can't shake around as much. Now I do lose a bit of power that way when the blade is way down, but then again for these really shallow cuts I don't need a whole lot of power. But I had been thinking if I had some kind of shock absorber that goes between here and here, that would really help steady the motor. And for that purpose I bought a bicycle shock absorber just for the shock, not the spring. And I actually bought 2 of those, and this one is already taking the spring off of, and it has no shock absorption at all. And if we open up the shock part, there's nothing inside at all. And this one, no shock absorption at all. Who would have thought that bike shocks don't contain shock absorbers? Shocking. But I've seen friction shock absorbers on some very old cars, and that's something I could make. And I was also thinking, to give me a bit more room, rather than going from here to here, I could go from here to down here. Now I just need a ball and socket joint for either end, and I've already experimented with making this, and that works fairly well. As long as it's held together with springs, it should absorb the vibrations. And on the bottom, I figure if I just attach this to the legs and have some kind of thing sticking out here for the other ball, that should work. Not a perfect hemisphere, but it should do the trick. I made these 2 C channels, and then this goes in here and this goes in here to slide. And then if I apply moderate pressure against here, I have friction here which would hopefully dampen vibrations. So testing this thing out, it makes a very minor difference, and under some circumstances actually it can make it worse because it'll hit some resonant frequency in here. So I think the reason the vibrations went down when the motor bottomed out against this thing is that the belt tension got reduced a little bit, and sure enough, if I lift on the motor a little bit, the vibrations go down. So I had the idea of adding a spring to slightly reduce the belt tension. But that only made a very minor difference to vibrations. And when I jammed some wood hard into the saw blade, I found that the belt actually would slip on here. So really I shouldn't have less belt tension. Next I tried just turning the saw slowly and watching the motor go up and down. So it seems that belt causes a lot of vibrations. So I thought I'd try a different belt. So now if you look at this belt, you'd say, no wonder there's a lot of vibrations. Except the one that causes more vibration is actually this belt, and I can't see anything wrong with this one. But this one works a lot better. The looks can be deceiving. Now let's see if I lift up on the motor a little bit. Even quieter. So I lose some needed belt tension with the spring, and I've had the idea, what if I add a weight here to try to help steady it and then get some of that belt tension back? So I'm not sure how much all that helped, but I can now do this. So this is the level of vibration I have now. It really depends on how and where you measure it though. After all the experiments with the weight and the spring, I thought I'd try the friction damper again now that I've got the different belt on there. And for those vibrations it works really well. And I made this clip here to apply a little bit of pressure for friction. And with a ball joint on either end, it doesn't restrict the range of motion of the motor either. And I'm really pleased with the results now. No more scrap wood wandering around the saw while I'm using it.